poem's called Altar Rock, and it's about a priest architect in the Murchison region of WA who was working there between the wars in the 20th century. And he built a series of remarkable churches in that district, which is on the cusp of the mining area and the northernmost periphery of the wheat belt. So it's marginal country in many ways. It's very dry, flat country. He spent a decade building one particular church in Mullawall, which is a very small town which is still very small and never developed. But he did it very ambitiously. He built it with his own hands in great detail with a very unique amalgam of styles. So it's a unique artistic statement in a place where nobody would know the difference or could care less. So it's a very powerful statement in that environment about personal expression, but also an attempt to speak to other people, because it was the parish church and it had to do all the things that the parish church did. That just really spoke to me about, in the context of some of the social history of that area, where a lot of the hopes that had been engendered with first white settlement there have not come to pass. And ecologically, it's become more fragile. The majority of the poem was written on a drive north from Perth to Mullawall, through the landscape that becomes increasingly dry as you head north. There's a particular meditative state when you're driving, I suppose, for a lot of people. Some people, it takes a musical thing or just purely visual. For a poet, phrases occur. I know that the Irish poet Seamus Heaney says that his wife could always tell when he was composing in the car because fingers would be drumming on the steering wheel. I think it's difficult to deliberately address the spiritual, but I think that it is inherently spiritual. Writing and art and architecture and a lot of life is inherently spiritual, but there's this strange thing that the more you talk about it, the more elusive the really substantial part of that can be. I'm not saying it is for everyone, but for me. And I don't think I don't believe there's necessarily a strong exclusive connection between religion and spirituality. I think that's what a lot of modern people feel, is that spirituality is a broader concept than religion, and that some of the most famous most famous atheist poet of his day was Shelley, total atheist who was not shy of using the word spiritual, who would have said everything he did had a spiritual aspiration. But he, like Coleridge and many romantics and like Blake, would have seen that in terms of intellectual and imaginative aspiration in the broadest possible sense, with no limits on that. What matters to me is the ambition, the breadth of spiritual ambition. How high are you aiming? How much are you trying to achieve? And the more ambitious you become, the more genuine and emotionally, intellectually genuine you become, the more you bring to the table, the closer you can hope to achieve something with a spiritual dimension.